And when it comes to lawlessness, I want to be crystal clear. If we won't tolerate it in the communities across the Commonwealth, then we certainly won't tolerate it within a state agency. On Saturday, I fired the entire parole board, and I asked Attorney General Miyares to begin an investigation into what happened.
Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin promising to crack down on crime, and his attorney general is leading the charge, launching new investigations just days after taking office.
Jason Miyares, Virginia's new Attorney General, joins us now. Mr. Attorney General, first, congratulations. Secondly, you wasted no time, just hours after being sworn in, launching an investigation into the parole school board. Why are you doing this, and what do you intend to find?
Well, you had two huge scandals that hit Virginia, and there's been no accountability and no transparency. You had a parole board that was literally letting out cop killers, murderers, and rapists, and not notifying the family of the victims. We're talking about individuals that had not one, not two, but 3 life sentences without the possibility of parole, and the family of the victim would find out when they would hear it on their local news. And there's been no accountability, no transparency. So that's step number one. And step number two was obviously the tragedy that happened in Loudoun County with the sexual assault that happened in the school system. And that candidly traces back to when this far-left liberal monopoly was in control the last 2 years in Richmond that passed these criminal first, victim last mindset bills that said, hey, we're going to end the mandatory reporting requirement of sexual assault in schools. And so that's what this is about. It's about accountability and transparency in government, something we desperately need. That was something that Glenn Youngkin ran on. That's something I ran on. And from day one, within an hour of us being sworn in, we began the investigation, and we're moving forward, and we're excited to get to work.
Will your election results from this November be repeated next November or this upcoming November in states, not just Virginia, but throughout the nation, as people, parents, everybody fights back on these woke leftist policies that are literally getting people killed?
Well, you know, I like to joke, once you go woke, you go broke. And I think there's going to be a reckoning this November, because people see not just what happens in Virginia and Richmond. We had a far-left liberal monopoly in Richmond. We obviously have a far-left liberal monopoly also in Washington. And listen, when we were out in the campaign trail, I said, if you're upset with what's happening in Washington, you don't have to wait till 2022 to vote to voice your displeasure. You can make your voice known here in Virginia. I think voters are anxious to push back. We saw Gallup came out this morning with, I think, a 9-point shift in party preference nationally. People are seeing this far-left, quasi-almost socialist policies are being pushed right now, with Washington drowning in debt, the complete dysfunction of what's coming out of the Biden administration. And this election that we saw with Governor Youngkin and myself and my friend Lieutenant Governor Sears, this is also about parent empowerment. When Terry McAuliffe said that that parents should have any say in the upbringing of in the education of their children, that tells me he never bothered to read what's in the Virginia Constitution, which says parents have a fundamental right to the education and the upbringing of their children. And so this is about parental empowerment, what we're happening right now. Parents are seeing what they're being taught in their schools, and they were horrified. And then you had a lot of these far-left liberal school boards that are pushing policies that are putting our kids in danger, and that's starting to stop in Virginia. You're going to see, I think, a red wave in November of 2022.
And Mr. Attorney General, we're seeing pushback on the governor trying to give choice to parents when it comes to the mask mandates. Do you foresee this going to court, and are you prepared to fight for it?
Potentially, yes. I know there's also a legislative fix as well that's going to be coming down the pike through the Virginia General Assembly. And so any school board that thinks they can just ignore any law or change of the Code of Virginia, they're going to hear from us. And that's exactly. And listen, all of this is really about who knows what's best for your children. And every time I hear a far-left liberal politician or bureaucrat say they know as well for my children as I do, I always say, okay, well, what's my children's name? That's a big difference. Parents know what's best for their children. That's a lot of what this is about, parental empowerment. If we have to take it to court, we will. That's going to be our #1 goal. Let parents decide what is the best. If you have a child that has asthma, or I talk to a parent and he says, my child wears glasses, it fogs up, the mask is really destroying their academic potential and career, then you make that decision. But not some of these far-left school boards.
It looks like it is going to be quite a fight, Mr. Attorney General. We thank you for taking time for coming on early this morning and wish you success. Thank you, sir.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.